This is part one of a 3-part, no knead French baguette recipe. And what it takes for ingredients is bread flour, yeast, salt, water. Recipe, simple, straightforward. It's 3 3/4 cups of bread flour. Don't be too sloppy, but you don't have to be so precise either. I'm not striking it off with a knife. That was 3 cups there. Once, this is a 1/4 cup measure. 2 and 3. Should be done with that till tomorrow. Salt, a little more than a teaspoon of salt. It's going to depend upon how much you like. I like more. And it's 1/4 teaspoon of yeast. This is an 1/8 teaspoon measure, so I'm going to use 2 of them. This recipe basically works on a 24-hour cycle. I will start it now, it's about 8 o'clock at night, and the bread will be ready at about 5 or 6 o'clock tomorrow, so I suppose maybe it's a 22-hour cycle. Using the same measurement that I use to measure my flour with, I will, just follow me over here, add 2 cups warm water. Using my big fork, I'm just going to mix it together. There will be no kneading to this. What the gluten will develop in the dough over time. This first rising will take between 12 and 14 hours at room temperature. There, we'll make sure we got all of our flour engaged all the way to the bottom. There we go. Scrape everything down. There we go. You see what it looks like? There. Now we can take out the saran wrap because we don't want it to dry out. There we go. There it is. We'll come back to this in 12 to 14 hours. Okay, it's now 10 o'clock in the morning, 14 hours from when we started it. This is part 2 of our no knead French bread baguette recipe. You take this, do you see how far it's risen? We take it and we gently knock it out of the bowl. We are definitely trying not to pop any of those bubbles that we worked 14 hours to get. So I'm very carefully scraping it out. There we go. There we go. Okay. There. What I'm going to do here, this is as close to kneading as we're going to come, and it's more like rolling a half-filled water balloon. There, see, I'm definitely trying not to pop any of those bubbles, trying to heal up that open wound where it was against the bowl. And I'm not overdoing it. I'm going to cut it roughly in half. And this doesn't need to be done on marble. It can be done on a wooden, wooden board or a bread board or a table. Now I have this open wound, and I'm going to heal it up because I'm not trying to overwork anything here. I have developed a lot of gluten, and now we're going to form the baguette. And I've got a baguette pan, which I'll show you later in a second, and I will be using that, but you can make a boule out of it too, one or two, and that works too. All right, got my baguette pan, my spray. There, goes up here, and I try to make it about 2 inches shorter than my pan because it's going to grow in that dimension. It looks ugly now, but it won't later. I'm going to heel this one up again. Sticky side to sticky side. And roll it out by rolling it and pulling it gently to the outside. And as close to a cylinder and unpointy as can be is what I want, because otherwise you can flow over the edge of your pan. There we go. Okay, and this is the last of that because we have to keep it from drying out on the surface of the bread, and because it's going to be there for 5 to 7 hours for this final rise. So I take a paper towel and I work a little flour into it and I cover it. That's to keep the dough from sticking to the paper towel. And that's the end of part 2. Part 3 will be the baking of it. This is part 3, getting ready to bake. We bake at 425 with water in the oven, and the water has to be boiling. Means we will come up to 425, and it's going to take probably 45 minutes to make that quart of water boil in there. And so you have to preheat your oven that much, because if the water isn't boiling, you don't have that moisture in the air in there. And this is 35 minutes at 425. And there it is, looking gorgeous. Put it up there, we'll let them cool down. Okay, it spent 35 minutes. It's lovely. If you look at the crust, it's got the beautiful crunchy crust. And we cut it open, and it has a beautiful crumb. Absolutely gorgeous, and a great crust. And it's important to cook it for the 35 minutes, so there might be some small variation on that, because it's about a 60% water recipe, and you have to get rid of that water somehow, and it takes time to get rid of it. But that's it. It's lovely, wonderful bread, and it was only a little bit of work and a little bit of planning.